Well, thank you. We've got Mr. Zeke Obi, a legal practitioner. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
A lot of people seem to be talking about judiciary. We had the former DSS one who says judiciary when the cases get there. And then you had the police also talking about how they need to get to judiciary and get some points made there. But before we delve into that, let's get your quick response on this. There was this comment yesterday before the acting president signed the budget where they said that after the president had written, I think is it the Minister of Budget, before the acting president was allowed to sign the budget. But there are those who thought, wait a minute, where is that in law allowed?
Well, I'm actually surprised that that happened. I thought that under Section 145 of the Constitution, when the Vice President has taken over as acting president, he's supposed to perform all the roles of the president. I do not think that there's any law that requires the president who is away on vacation, who has ceded his powers to the acting president, to be able to write a letter to do that. I think that's part of the problem we have in the system. People have alleged that there are those who don't want the acting president to actually perform his roles. And this kind of situation is lending credence to that. I think it's very, very wrong. The acting president has all the powers of the president to do anything he wants to do, including signing the budget. He does not require any letter at all.
But does that letter, has that letter taken away from the powers of bestowed on the acting president?
Yes, but why tell us that the president has sent a letter? There's absolutely no need for that.
Okay, let's go over now to judiciary, judicial reforms perhaps, because a lot of things, yesterday we had the Anambra State governor say, well, when they get kidnappers or robbery cases, judiciary grant them bail. Today we hear a similar thing. So is it that people don't understand how the judiciary works, or we really and truly need judicial reforms?
Both of them. People don't really understand how the judiciary works. And I would also say that there's some need for some judicial reforms. I agree. On the way it works, what you just quoted the governor of Anambra State to have said, any criminal is entitled to bail under the Constitution. You cannot detain somebody without granting him bail, except where the Constitution says you cannot grant bail. So when somebody is granted bail, depending on what the conditions of the bail is or are. Now, if he's released on bail and he commits another offense while on bail, it is a ground for revoking the bail and making sure that he remains in custody. So I do not see on what basis that somebody who has been released on bail, who commits a second offense, is granted bail again. It is not usual. So when it happens, maybe just a one-off thing.
But does the NBA take a look at some of these cases that raises a lot of concern from the public? Because most importantly, we don't think judiciary themselves want to see people lose confidence to the extent that they don't see justice being done. So that they take into cognizance some of these complaints and see how best should people approach this.
Well, I think there's a lot of judiciary bashing going on.
Rightly or wrongly?
Wrongly. And I don't think it's right. The judiciary, first of all, where do the judges come from? From the same society where all of us come from. You have the police. There's a lot of problem with the police. There's a lot of problem with the DSS. There's a lot of problem with EFCC. There's a lot of problem with the civil service. Judiciary is not an exception. It can't be different. There are a lot of educational system problems everywhere. So when people pick on just the judiciary, I think they are being very, very unfair. The current CGN is working very hard to try to institute reforms. I agree. There are some bad eggs. But I must tell you that the majority of the judges we have are hardworking and honest judges. But what are the facilities with which they work? Or the conditions under which they work? Perhaps except for Lagos State, that has made the condition of service very, very, very good. Most of the other states, I go to court in Anambra State every day, the courts don't have any air conditioning. There are no air conditioners in the courts.
Why is that happening for other states apart from Lagos?
Well, Lagos state is taking the issue of judiciary very, very seriously. Do you know now any judge appointed in Lagos state is given accommodation?
Is it not due to the internally generated revenue from Lagos state? Is there no direct correlation between
yes,
what Lagos makes
that
as to what Anambra state makes?
Good. There are not just Anambra in state. There are areas that every government must pay attention to. You want good judiciary. You want good justice delivery system. You must fund it. You cannot withhold funds from them and then you're complaining that the judiciary is not working. You need to fund the judiciary very well. Go to all the developed countries. The judiciary is very well funded. And the conditions of service very good, well paid, so that when a judicial officer messes up in any way, the state does not spare him. But here, you have to look at so many areas. Appointment of judicial officers. You know, let us face it, the issue of federal character and a few other things is damaging the judiciary. How? Because when you go, you see the way, because every state must appoint. Every state must have its own judges. Whether some states don't actually have the manpower.
You believe that is hurting the system?
Of course. Some states don't have the manpower to be able to meet their quota. But they must provide quotas. I know some states where even before you are 10 years post-call, you already made acting judge because they don't have the manpower. Then once you hit 10, you are made a judge. In another few years, you are moved to the Court of Appeal. In another few years, you are moved to Supreme Court. These are problems that people don't want to address.